We all stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Councilman Grant.
May we bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and the blessings of this day. Father, we know that everything that we have comes from you, and all that is good lives within you. So we ask that you bring out the best in us, that we help guide the city, show us your love, compassion, and understanding and wisdom. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Just a reminder, when you can, try to speak in the mics, share mics with each other. You share that mic. Okay. So we have first call roll, please.
Allen.
Here.
Perkins.
Here.
Green.
Here.
Swisher.
Here.
Guthrie.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Brandt.
Here.
Cook.
Here.
Thank you. Could we have a motion to adopt the agenda for tonight?
So moved. Second.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Who made the second?
Dan.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Allen.
Here.
Perkins.
Here.
Green.
Here.
Swisher.
Here.
Guthrie.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Brandt.
Here.
Cook.
Here.
Thank you. Could we have a motion to adopt the agenda for tonight?
So moved. Second.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Who made the second?
Dan.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Are there any motions to approve or correct the regular session minutes of May 15, 2023? Need a motion and a second if there are no corrections.
Move to approve is submitted.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. This is time for the business from the audience. You've got about 3 minutes. We go over a little bit if you raise your hand and but otherwise we try to keep it free. And if there's something else that needs to be discussed, maybe we can discuss it a little later on. So if there's any, Don, you first. Okay.
Unless somebody else wants to go first.
We'll start someplace.
I might be the only one. Tom Ward, Ward 2. I think you're pretty used to seeing me up here. What I want to ask some questions about is the demolition of the old IGA building. I want to know where the city got the authority to demolish a private individual.
Thank you. Are there any motions to approve or correct the regular session minutes of May 15, 2023? Need a motion and a second if there are no corrections.
Move to approve is submitted.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. This is time for the business from the audience. You've got about 3 minutes. We go over a little bit if you raise your hand and but otherwise we try to keep it free. And if there's something else that needs to be discussed, maybe we can discuss it a little later on. So if there's any, Don, you first. Okay.
Unless somebody else wants to go first.
We'll start someplace.
I might be the only one. Tom Ward, Ward 2. I think you're pretty used to seeing me up here. What I want to ask some questions about is the demolition of the old IGA building. I want to know where the city got the authority to demolish private individuals' property and use public funds to do it. I notice Mr. Taylor's not here tonight, but if this attorney, if that's his purpose of being here, maybe he can answer that question. Where would the city's authority come from to use public funds for the demolition of a private person's property?
If you're not able to answer that, Don, don't worry about it.
I stayed here for 35 years, so I have some idea.
Good.
Generally, the obligation of the city, one of the obligations is to avoid nuisances.
Can you talk into the microphone more so? Because,
They do have trouble on YouTube.
yeah, I sure do.
One of the city's obligations and to the Court Enforcement Committee, and then of course to the committee that is hearing the properties that have become in a condition where they need to be torn down.
There's no dispute about that. Everybody would agree the building needed to come
Sir,
down.
I tell you what, I'm not interrupted you once.
Well, I would move this along. I've got 3 minutes.
That's fine, and the rest.
Unless I need to put myself on the agenda.
You might have to,
Come in here and
but
get this
this,
thing.
he's trying to answer, Tom. Let him go ahead and see what he can do.
Sure. Okay.
The public funds are used to tear down buildings in this town probably about once every 3 to 5 weeks. And that's just the way it has to be done, or we're gonna have buildings that are falling down all over town that nobody will take care of. That's just the way it is.
That would be under the normal process of a tax lien, okay?
No.
This is not a tax lien. If anything, it's a demolition lien, okay? So this happened in January 21. I see Mr. Guthrie, several smiles up there, so maybe you guys have something to interject in.
Let me throw this in.
Sure.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think whenever we do this, don't we put a lien against that property?
There's a lien against it. I sunshined it, and I'll give them the slow
So
roll,
whenever it's
okay?
sold, we in turn either we get the property, and sometimes we do get the property.
Yeah, what has happened here?
Submitted to me, just a second.
Yeah.
And then when they do sell it, then we in turn get that lien back.
I understand how it works, Mr. Guthrie.
Okay, well-
All right, what I'm saying here is the city used public funds to tear down a private individual's personal property building, okay? And it was masked, disguised as a lien when it's simply a loan, because it took a third party. The city paid $63,000 or $130,000, who knows yet? I haven't received my sunshine records. But the city paid Remco one of those $2 amounts to tear down that building. So the private owner indirectly received benefit from those public funds. And that doesn't suit well with Article 6 of the Constitution.
I was thinking when it sells,
It has nothing to do with
if
it.
it does,
When it sells, it's going to sell in the benefit of the owner. The city gets nothing out of that.
your money back.
Do you have the contract? Do you have the terms and
No, I
conditions?
don't.
But you do get the money back, Tom. You want to go on to your next point, or you're 3 minutes?
Well, yeah, I could go on and on. I could ad lib.
But do you have another point that you want to get?
But I don't think it's, I'll come back, I'll put myself on the agenda because I really want answers and I'm not getting them on many of things.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, let's move on. Committee reports, Public Relations and Public Safety Committee.
Okay, Honor, going over some of the issues that we've taken care of last month. We had 15 fire-related calls, not necessarily actual building, but brush, grass, rubbish, all of the things that you would have the fire department called out for. There were 15 of those last month, with 3 rescue and emergency, 24 medical assist, and motor vehicle accidents with injuries they responded to also. 1 gas leak, 1 power line down, lots of other small, we have good intent calls where people call and ask for some kind of aid that we give them. There was 9 of those in the month. And of course, there's always the false alarms and things that occur along those lines. But altogether, there were 79 total district incidents, and we had 25 related calls to those. See if I can find a police department here. I don't have a police department. I think that's it.
Okay. Also, in a related matter, Councilmembers Perkins and Guthrie are going to be looking at the code of conduct over the next few weeks and see if we can come up with something. You want to speak to that, Phil?
I think you were going to go ahead.
Yes, okay, we are in the process. We had an ordinance for a code of conduct that was voted on back in April 17th, and it did not pass. We have had a revision of it that we are currently investigating, kind of going over it to see if it's going to upgrade the issues that did not cause the motion to pass. But this is just simply, you know, if you read through these, most of these are fairly much common sense. They're the behavior that's expected out of any elected official, whether it's on the city council or anywhere else. What they do have the authority to do and what they don't have the authority to do. And we're just trying to get that in writing so that we'll have it, and hopefully we'll never need it. We are also looking at the possibility of finishing off the ordinance concerning, the right word here, non-car 2x2s, not necessarily golf carts, but an ordinance that would allow those to be used on the city streets if they went through a licensing process. They're going to have to be licensed, they're going to have lights, turn signals, all of those kinds of things that are on a car. And so some of them may have to be retrofitted in order to become legal. They'll be checked by the police department to make sure that they comply with what's necessary. And one of the big issues is that it has to travel at least, these are mine because I don't have it in front of me, at least 20 miles an hour. And most golf carts don't go that fast. So most golf carts are not going to be able to meet this. But the 2x2s and 4x4s or whatever numbers they use, many of them will. But they may have to be modified with turn signals, things along that line, and comply with traffic conditions in the city. And hopefully within the next meeting or so, we'll have that out so we can put it out and get some discussion on it.
Anything else, Phil? Okay. Municipal Services and Personnel Committee.
Yes, got 3 or 4 things here. First thing is just stormwater tip for the month. Consider using rain barrels to collect rainwater from your roof. All natural rainwater is better to use on your garden and saves you money. If you'll look out there, there are some systems and things you can buy. I would highly recommend that you do that. If you just dump it into a barrel, a lot of times you have a place for mosquitoes to breed and it turns into kind of a mess, or it just doesn't work very well. But there are some that I think some of the stores have them where you can either retrofit a barrel or buy the whole process. So that is a good idea to save stormwater. Second item, next week we are doing our bulk item pickup. That's June 12th through the 15th. We talked about this at the last meeting. Basically, the city employees are going to pick up bulk items. Now, this is not just your trash. RTS is going to continue to make their runs on their scheduled time. But we will be doing it kind of in the opposite days that they are doing it, so they're not trying to do the same wards at the same time. Ward 4 will be Monday, June 12th. Ward 3 will be Tuesday, June 13th. Ward 2, Wednesday, June 14th, and Ward 1 is Thursday, June 15th. So it's kind of a backwards order of what the trash pickup is. So like I say, these are large bulk items that you want to get rid of. Basically, we're going to pick up anything except things that have free on them. We can't pick those up. Need to have a curbside within the city limits of Marshall. And if you have any questions on that, you can call down to the Municipal Services Office, and they will give you additional information on that. Terry, anything you want to know on that? And we are publicizing this.
It's already on the website.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's out there. There's a little more information, or you can call Municipal Services today, 660-886-3945.
Hey Dan, is there plans for hazardous pickup?
We don't have anything in the works at this point in time. I know the county had something, but then I think that might have gotten postponed here recently. We talked about it about a month or so ago, but right now we don't have anything in the works, but we can work on that. I do know if you have used oil, you can take that down to the Municipal Services Office. They will take that. And also, if you have any questions on that, I think I'll call down there. They can hopefully point you in the right direction. So we had a couple of meetings on Municipal Services Committee. Today we met, Craig and I met. There's been an interest out at the airport in putting in a hangar, a private, which would be put on the airport property. They would not be purchasing that property. They would furnish the building, and they would do a lease situation for property. This would be just south of the terminal out there on the that would be the east side of the tarmac or the apron that they have. One issue that we have is there's some utilities that are running through there. And I know JD has talked with you guys about the possibility of rerouting a few of those, which would be good to develop future expansion on that. There's quite an area right on that frontage of the apron that would be very good for that type of thing, and it would also kind of stay out of the ag park, which is located south of that area. So this is just kind of in the discussion stage. We kind of told JD to kind of look more into it. We're not spending any money at it on this point as far as engineering or contractor or anything, but we are going to try to look into maybe doing that. Main thing there is a sewer line that runs right through the middle of this, and we want to reroute it down to the east a little bit, so we would open up that area for possibility of hangars and this one also. Any questions on that? Or last thing, the other meeting we had a couple of weeks ago, we had the opportunity to interview a couple of our employees for the Financial Services Director position. Our HR manager, Anne Marie, she facilitated that interview process, and Craig and I were there. We had our own list of questions, and we'll have a recommendation for that that's coming up further in the meeting. It's a good item.
Thank you. Anything else? Craig?
Any questions on me? Craig, did I miss anything?
Okay, good. Property finance budget and audit committee.
Yes, Mayor. Right now in our budget, we're 3/4 of the way through the fiscal year. Our revenues are roughly $10.5 million, or 79.79%. Our expenditures are roughly $8.8 million, or 61.64%. And as you can see, we're still in a positive position financially. We have had a couple meetings. Nathan and I have met with Amy and others a couple times to kind of get our feet wet about what's going on in the finance department. We have a couple of recommendations coming up later in the meeting. We talked about the disposal of some of the records and streamlining that process per state guidelines. And other than that, Nathan, do you have anything specifically? Okay. And I sent you guys all an email. We'll have some things coming up in the future to look at once we have a better handle on those.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Community development and code committee. Yes, sir.
We had the meeting on the 24th of May, and Mr. Norman, you're going to have to keep me from running off into the weeds too far, because I've never done this. But the report is we have 39 permits issued for a total estimated value of $6,194,630, and the fees collected on that was $6,970.75. We also had a hearing, a code enforcement hearing, and there were basically 30 items that were talked about. Most of them were property maintenance items and tall grass, things like that. And then there was one for accumulation of junk and debris. We talked about several pieces of property that Mr. Gibson and Mr. Carmen was working with the owners on to get cleaned up, and they were making progress on those, so no action was taken. And the next meeting is going to be on June 28th at 8:30 a.m. Right here, I assume. It's where they all are?
Yes.
Okay. At 8:30 a.m. on June 28th. So, I believe that's all I have.
Mr. Allen?
Yeah, well, I didn't attend the last meeting, should be at the June one. but just as it relates, I just wanted to acknowledge a couple individuals have come to me from Ward 1 about some issues in Ward 1. I know JD was in receipt of an email today, Drew as well, about some property that's been sent over to code enforcement. I get that right. Code inspector, planning department. So I just wanted to acknowledge that was received and heard. Before the meeting tonight, I wanted to acknowledge that another resident had dropped off something with some questions on some easement, questions with MMU, some stuff being done on that property. So just acknowledge that that's been received and try to get some clarity on that as well. And then along with the letter that we received, I just wanted Ward 1 to rest assured that if you're receiving personal mail that says it's from me on the council for your yard, it's not me. So I wanted to get that out there, that it's definitely not I that's doing that. And surely somebody would want to impersonate somebody better than me, but that's where we're at. So again, not me.
Thank you, Mr. Allen.
Mayor, I have a question. Are we actively giving out, I guess you call them tickets for code violations, and are we giving out municipal tickets for court, or what are we doing? How are we? Because I know, like a while back, we had a meeting with the previous council about how we're going to keep up with these properties that keep having problems. It was hard there's a lengthy process to get them through the system. And then it's my understanding that we had found that something with Chief Donnell when we worked, and we were actually handing out some kind of a ticket. Are we doing that? I don't know.
JD, do you have anything on that right now? Code enforcement and properties that we're working with?
Yeah, I think Josh probably needs to give us an update, because at the last meeting, he did have a couple of things that were kind of stalled out due to that process, and we were able to get, in those cases, administrative search warrants to enter those houses. I think the question was, can we write a citation if they don't have all of the like sort of pedigree information, like you would have with somebody's driver's license, if they didn't have complete information? Could the court process that, the citation? I know the city attorney met with the incident judge, so I will direct him to give you an update on where that's at. I'm just afraid I'm not going to be able to speak to it adequately.
Okay. Yeah, I just kind of wondered where we were now.
Well, we can probably have Mr. Gibson talk to us about that in the future too. See where we're at on that. Let's put that on the agenda for the 12th. Anything else before we go to the city administrator's report? Okay, Mr. Kerman, it's all yours.
Thank you. I just want to mention a couple of items. We did, on Monday, the mayor and I did host the area engineer for MoDOT. We've been trying to get him into town for some time. He's relatively new to the position, but he was very responsive. We spent a number of hours taking him around to different projects, including the High Street and alternate routes project, to look at all of those issues and kind of review some of the concerns that were raised, and really asking for his assistance in getting that issue with MoDOT resolved. And I thought that was a good meeting, time well spent. Following the council meeting where you all heard from the engineers at HDR, they have been preparing documents to move towards the rebuild of that parallel taxiway. And those documents just started coming across late yesterday and this morning. So there'll be some review for applications for funding and things like that. And if there's any additional council action is required, that'll be coming to you as well. But they're making quick work on the application process with FHA for the rebuild of that parallel taxiway. We also had a meeting that was this morning with the engineer for our stormwater disaster mitigation, and sat on a call with FEMA and SEMA. We've got a number of the big projects funded already with a funding commitment from FEMA, specifically the drainage way back here behind Eastwood School. And we are appealing some of what FEMA had previously denied, some of which is around the area off the airfield and South Lake Drive. We are going back and asking for FEMA to take another look at that. And some of the funding criteria has changed, probably in our favor there. So we're going to continue to pursue that as well. And as Councilman Grant mentioned, the airport hangar issue, we are looking at some of the utility issues out there that may need to be addressed to accommodate future development. Speaking of development as well, later on in the agenda tonight, we've got the second read for Terracon for the environmental study at the old Fitzgibbons Hospital site. If that passes tonight, we'll send them the signed contract in the morning, and they've already got all the preliminary paperwork and everything that's required, and they said they'd be on site within the week to start that process and get that done. The mayor has directed me to finalize the request for proposals on the FIT site. So more than likely, by the time that we have given Terracon the green light on the environmental, we'll also be ready to release the RFP for potential development at that site. So that's probably all going to unfold here probably in the next 3 to 5 days. So that's all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
The only thing I was wondering about the airport is hopefully we can coincide the new work being done with moving some of the entries from the taxiways and the apron, because if we put a hangar there, which I'm not opposed to, but it is going to take up quite a few parking spaces that we're already limited on, especially during ag season. So if we can kind of coordinate that, where we'll gain some slots because we'll lose some slots.
We'll do, and the engineer that you talked with the other night, Jerry, he's been really involved with that request for the hangar as well, because you're absolutely correct. It is going to create some. We're going to lose a couple of parking places right there, and he seemed to have a couple of ideas that he may have mentioned about reconfiguring those other connecting points, like you're mentioning, to possibly gain some additional spots. So
I think you mentioned maybe gaining 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be good to do that.
And then in the future, with this new hangar possibility, I was talking with Julie a month or so ago about just looking at all the contracts out there, because they get a little cumbersome about how you calculate things, and there's other cities around here that I think the developer for that hangar has brought to make it just more streamlined and easy, and maybe a possibility of looking at, if we're not going to develop new hangars, opening it up to private people to lease the land to develop new hangars, so we can get the airport active. Yes, I am a pilot, but what I've learned about the history of this town and the aviation history, we were the largest aviation school. It's fascinating, and I would like to see us somehow come around Nicholas Beasley and do something with the airport and make it pretty cool again. So,
Okay. Good work for you. Anything else, Mr. Kerman?
That's all I
Anything
have.
else for Mr. Kerman? Okay, Mayor's report. I only have a few things. I think the most important one is that we do have a couple of time-sensitive issues, and rather than waiting until the 20th, we're calling a special meeting for Monday night, the 12th, and the agenda will be out as quickly as we get it out, and there's nothing pressing for the council, but there's pressing for people who want to talk to the council. So we'll have that kind of a streamlined meeting. We'll still have a regular meeting on the 20th. Some sad news: Mayor Lager Slater passed away, and you should be seeing some things about that in the paper. And we certainly send our sympathies to his family and his town, because he was an excellent mayor, good person. Some fun news: we just got a notice that we're going to have a new Chick-fil-A mobile site here in town. They got a big truck, and they're going to be having a mobile Chick-fil-A site here in town. And they've already gotten their license and they're ready to go. So look for them, big red truck. And that's basically all I've got this morning. It'll be in various places. They're working on it. They ask for ideas, but they haven't got anything finalized.
Just follow the traffic. You'll find
It'll be it was a pretty impressive truck, wasn't it, Julie?
Very big.
Yes, and in fact, I thought it was a delivery truck, but it's a truck. And so, okay, we have a liquor license, Mister's Cafe LLC, Reginald Kaimoff, managing officer, beer and light wine by drink with Sunday sales. Any problems with the police on that? Thank you. Need a motion and a second to approve that?
Move to approve the request.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, now we're going to go back here again to the Finance Committee in a minute, but we had a property up for sale. It was a demolished property on Arrow Street several years ago, and we've now put it up for sale. I'm going to let Drew Green speak to that real quick.
Yeah, we've talked about this for a little while, that property on 262 West Arrow, we sent it out for open bid, or a closed bid. And we got 2 bids, and we are, as in the email I sent out, we're recommending to take the higher bid of, from the 2. When we kind of calculated, we added to the numbers of what we've got in the property. Unfortunately, the numbers are going up. But it does coincide with that upper bid, and so we do recommend that we take the highest bid from Powerhouse Community Development for I guess I can say how much.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, for $20,000. Yeah.
That's a motion.
I guess if I have to make a motion to accept the bid.
Somebody might as well be
For $20,000 for Powerhouse Ministries for 262 West Arrow.
Any discussion on that before we ask for a second?
Let me ask you this. Do you know, what's his plans on?
Yeah. He Powerhouse Ministries, a really nice proposal about putting on that lot of a community center. And some other things. I don't know if we want to have. Does anybody have the proposal with them? I don't have it on to read it, but if you want to have this.
Basically, a building to promote what they're doing already.
Sure. Community development, place for people to be and hang out, and then other church ministries. Yeah.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Several appointments. The first is the appointment to the Board of Building Code Enforcement, and Mr. Cook's been active in that already, and the logical person to take that spot that was previously held by Mr. Thompson. He's not on the council anymore, so I'm appointing Steve Cook to that position. I need a motion and a second for that, please.
Make the motion.
Oh, gotcha.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Congratulations, I think.
I just want to say if I'm a logical choice, we might have a little intro.
I just want to repeat, I'm not the one sending it. Is that on the record? Again?
Got some library board appointments. These are all reappointments. There will be a term opening up later. We'll be talking with Mary down at the library about possibilities for that. But at this moment, these are all reappointments. The first is for Debbie Hall-Raw to reappoint. Term expires July 2026. Tracy Crumbaugh, reappointment. Term expires July 2026, and I hope I can say this right. Brooke Linzenbart, reappointment. Term expires 2026. Do I have a motion and a second to approve these?
We do it all at once, right?
Yes, you do it all at once.
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now I'm going to refer back to Mr. Grant for this final appointment, then I'll make the recommendation.
Yeah, like I said, we did have interviews with a couple of employees. We used the interview process, and 2 or 3 other ways that we were looked into this to try to determine which one was the best. And it was recommendation of Municipal Services that we promote Randy Cornine to that position.
Both of them were very good candidates.
Good candidates, 9-year employee, 19-year employee.
Great. Any comments before I make my motion, or my recommendation? Okay, I'm going to ask for a motion a second to approve Randy Cornine to the Director of Municipal Services.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we're going to do a roll call on this, please.
Allen,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Swisher,
Yes.
Guthrie,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Brandt,
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Passes. Next are our ordinances. These are second readings tonight. Could we have the clerk get the second reading by title only, please, for number 1?
An ordinance of the City of Marshall concerning the retention of records.
Any discussion?
No, there were some questions about keeping records or doing, I don't really know how to answer that. In the finance department standing besides, we're going to follow state law, and I think anything can be requested to be held over longer.
Correct, and we are trying to get them all posted on the website.
Correct.
Everything that's being destroyed will be posted, and we're going to make that an ongoing. We're trying to figure out where to put it on the website, so stay tuned or call us later on. It's something that'll flow well and people can see. So Amy and Julie will be doing that together. Thank you very much. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Cook,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Swisher,
Yes.
Guthrie,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Brandt.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Next is the environmental study. Can we have second reading by title only, please?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor of the City of Marshall, Missouri to obtain an environmental study at 868 South Brunswick Avenue in the City of Marshall.
This is what Mr. Kerman alluded to earlier. This is for the phase 1 study. It went over what we normally have budgeted for that, so we had to have an ordinance to approve that, and we're going to get on it tomorrow morning. We should have a response. Hopefully, they're looking like they're going to go 1 to 2 weeks if all goes well. So we should. That's what they're hoping for. We'll see what happens. And we might have to go to a phase 2. We'll see what the results of this environmental study are. Can I have a motion and a second to approve this ordinance, please?
Yes, before we do this,
Yeah.
now that you mentioned it might have to have a phase 2, what triggers that? I mean,
I probably can't speak to everything that might trigger a phase 2, but I think in this case, a common example would be that if they find that there's a tank in the ground that's been abandoned, and then they're going to want us to, they're going to want to do some soil testing and find out if that thing has been leaking, and they'll have to coordinate with DNR. We'd have to file that report. There'd be a number of hoops to jump through, some of which are much more complex than others, but there could be any number of things that they could potentially discover that would cause them to want to give notice to DNR and then go into the phase 2 and then start making plans with the city to do remediation. So, for example, if there was a leaking tank in the ground that had oil, the process as it's been described to me is that there's a contractor that does the digging and a contractor that does the testing, and it's all supervised and controlled, and they remove the contaminated soil, and then they test, and they remove, and they test. There's got to be a chain of custody on that soil for how it's disposed of and things like that. So that would be kind of a common example of things that might be on a site where there was no building.
and as far as we know, we shouldn't have any problems with the phase 1.
Yeah, we're not aware of anything that would trigger the phase 2, but we have in the paperwork indicated that there is a vent stack in that northeast corner that could be associated with a tank. There was also like an old gas vault that was discovered in the ground, like a brick line vault. So all that's in the report. Anything that was noted during the demolition would be in that report. Any like cisterns or anything that were in the building, they've got access to all that information.
Any other questions, comments? Can I have that motion second now, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, can we have a roll call on that, please?
Perkins,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Swisher,
Yes.
Guthrie,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Brandt,
Yes.
Cook, Allen.
Yes.
Our final is the appropriation. Could I have the clerk give the first reading by title only, please?
An ordinance making the appropriation for the payment of accounts out of the different city funds.
Like for a motion and a second to take the appropriation to a second reading.
So move, Your Honor.
Second.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Cook,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Swisher,
Yes.
Guthrie,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Brandt.
Yes.
Could the clerk give second reading by title only, please?
An ordinance making the appropriation for the payment of accounts out of the different city funds.
Can I have a motion and a second to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second. Ms. Casey Bills. Roll call, please.
Allen,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Swisher,
Yes.
Guthrie,
Yes.
Craig Thompson,
Yes.
Brandt,
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Passed. Any other council business?
Question. And this comment for, have we heard any more about the sidewalk on that street?
Yes, we have.
Some of the stuff that
The where it's collapsed down at 65, that's part of that FEMA project, and that portion is funded. So it's just a matter of getting the rest of these, pieces of worked out with them and then starting work. But that hole right there connects to a line that runs not necessarily under the 65 and parallel to it on that side. Last we discussed that portion was funded and is going to be performed by a contractor. So it will be fixed.
we don't have a time frame.
I don't yet, no. I think that probably after we make this appeal on these subterranean pipes around the South Lake area, however that appeal comes out, I think that will be the end of the discussion and negotiation phase, and then we should get the green light on moving forward on these other projects. So they're designed, the Eastwood project is designed, the Best Street project is designed. Farah, the engineer, has got all the specs and all the designs set up on the South Lake Drive area. At this point, we're just arguing about money at this point.
Along the same lines, the sidewalk on Eastwood, it's gravel, that whole area. Is that scheduled to be replaced anytime soon?
We've talked about that a little bit in the past. One of the plans we came up with last year at budget time was that there's going to be a round of funding, what MoDOT now calls, I want to say multimodal funding or something like that. It used to be called Stay Across the School. And we kind of proposed this on like a trial, like a sample basis. Would this be an eligible project? And MoDOT indicated yes. So at the time, then that was when Bill was our superintendent. He talked with ESS, who's the engineer who's doing the Miami and College Street sidewalks. And the plan then was to have them do the preliminary engineering and apply for that, make application for those grant funds. That opens up, I want to say, in October. So any work that we do prior to the grant award, though, isn't necessarily reimbursable. So probably what will happen would be that we will wait and see if we win the award, and then we can decide if we want to move forward with our own funds or whether we have to match MoDOT. So the match is probably going to run anywhere for the city from, say, 30 to 50%, depending on the competitiveness of the grant. So that is still on the radar, but probably a late fall before we have more on that.
Got one more for you.
Sure.
All these streets, when are we still on track for the milling and all that stuff?
Yeah, crack seal will start anytime in the next couple of weeks, and that'll be mobile and it'll move quickly. What we're really waiting for a schedule on is the crew that's going to be doing the milling and the paving. Because that's what's the most disruptive to the neighborhoods. Those guys are on the Rocheport Bridge now, and we are anticipating a schedule from them towards the end of that work, so that we can notify the contractor Capital Paving for that portion of the project, Advanced Brothers for the slurry, part of their contract this year is that they're responsible for putting door hangers out in the neighborhoods and letting people know that they're going to have access issues and when. We had the pre-construction meeting, I guess last month with them, and they indicated that in some of the areas where we're doing milling and overlay, they're probably going to mill and then come back and overlay immediately afterwards, just because we've got such traffic volume in some of those areas like Odell Street, for example, that they don't think they can let it sit for very long. So that will expedite the process in a few parts of town, but there are going to be sections of town where people are going to have a milled street in front of their driveway and a drop off at the curb and then not have access during the morning. So just as soon as we've got that schedule, we're going to publish that and let people know. In addition to the door hangers that the contractor will need.
I wonder if we have an update on the railroad.
You were there when we came up with an alternate site. I don't want to discuss because it includes private property.
Okay.
But yesterday when the MoDOT engineer and JD and I went around, he was impressed with that idea. Okay. And what we're trying to find out if MoDOT can transfer the money that they've already said they would give us for High Street and any other improvements to that. And there's some issues there that we haven't got resolved yet. So I really can't answer better than that. They seem to be impressed with the idea, and at this point, there's no reason to suggest that it's halted.
Okay.
Is that good enough?
Yeah, that's good for the railroad thing. And outside of that, I just, it's my understanding that council has received my response to what's going on with me and our proposal.
Right.
So I didn't know, I wanted to open the floor if anybody had any questions. You've seen everything from my side now. And if you had any questions or comments or any direction that you wanted to take this, if you had any recommendations, or just wanted to ask council, make sure there weren't any questions that needed to be answered.
Well, you received my email today.
Probably. There was like 4 when I opened my.
Okay, regarding that.
Okay, about meeting sometime. Okay. And so that's what you want to talk about.
I think so.
Okay.
If that's okay. Yeah. If anybody has any questions right now, that would still be appropriate, but we are working toward hopefully a resolution.
Okay. Yeah, just like I said, whatever's done, I want it to be in the open.
Exactly.
So, if we talk about it and come out in the open, that's fine with me. But
whatever we resolve will be in the open.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the council?
I just got one more, Terry, and this is kind of for Terry, but I did notice on Beth Street, y'all are finally connecting down there, and it looks good. Sam, you should be able to walk up down the street.
That's all I can wait. It's a slow process, but we're getting there.
What other projects you got going on?
After this one, we're going to go try to attempt to go around some of these places that are cyclones in the streets. We got numerous around town. We got barricades on right now. We're going to try to fix those. And after that, then we're going to jump back on the sidewalk and Best and head towards right after at 9 and 65. I mean, Best and 65, I'm sorry. So we're heading that way. It's just a slow process. With you guys we got.
Good. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion made.